Hello everybody, welcome to the Cult of Michael Myers. I am Rorschach Myers and this is my review of Halloween 2018. There are two types of man in Halloween 2018. The first being generally feckless, incompetent, silly, irrelevant, effeminate, beta, useless or untrustworthy. And the second type of man, well, that's Michael Myers. And he's, well, you know all about Michael Myers, right? He's not exactly a good guy, is he? Well, let's explore that notion right here and right now in Rorschach Myers' review of Halloween 2018. The rebooted franchise that's fully on board with the mandatory, in Hollywood at least, Me Too empowerment agenda. Because there's one thing that's sorely lacking in our entertainment choices today, and that's strong, independent, tough, talented alpha females and morally suspect beta male losers. Right, guys? You with me here, right? Okay, enough sarcasm. Let's get into the review and do some good old-fashioned, trained Marxist, postmodern textual deconstruction. Hey man, if it's good for the lefty goose, it's just as good for the hard right gander. So let's get into this. Halloween begins with a call for medication, which is more than understandable in this woke and broke age. And is that the voice of Dr. Loomis that I hear? Nostalgia, baby. We'll milk it for every single shekel that we can get. Okay, that was a little bit unfair. I'm a sucker for the nostalgia myself. And an early reminder of the greatness that was Donald Pleasance is no bad thing. Even to a bitter, cynical, sarcastic old bugger like myself. So, we're in the nut house, and it's 40 years after Michael forcibly disagreed with his elder sister's promiscuous ways. And our hero, yes, let's get this out of the way immediately, Big Michael Myers is the undoubted hero in this flick for sure, is steadfastly refusing to speak, not only to a new doctor, who I'm immediately suspicious of, but to two lib podcasting journo-types who are stuck in the past thinking that investigative journalism is still a thing outside of Project Veritas. I can say investigative, I just like to be silly. Dr. Sartain, pronounced Satan, comically enough, wants to explore the mind of Big Mike, as do the two lib podcasters. So he's invited him into the facility to wave Mike's old mask at him, hoping that it will shake him out of the admirable silence that he's kept for the past 40 years. Does it work? Nah, of course not. But the other inmates certainly react, and the overall effect of bringing back the mask hints at an awakening, particularly as Michael is about to be transferred to a new facility. And well, if you've seen any of the other movies in the franchise, or any other horror movie really, you know how that's going to go, don't you? The scene ends with two memorable quotations that I'll quote for you right here and right now. The first is from the suspiciously named replacement for Dr. Loomis when he opines he can speak, Michael Myers. He just chooses not to. Whilst the second comes from the frustrated podcast who screams, "Say something!" to the toweringly indifferent Mr. Myers. He doesn't say anything. As the familiar Carpenter music kicks in and the opening credits roll. I love it. The mask is calling. Michael is awakening. Let's get this hack and slash, bludgeon and bash horror show just in time for Halloween night. I guess it's now time to visit old Laurie Strode in a heavily fortified homage to all things Sarah Connor. Yes, Laurie is doing the snarl, vest and gun thing, and the podcasters go into full exposition mode whilst visiting the elderly paranoic to tell us all about her failed marriages, issues with social services, the bottle and mental health, which I guess is supposed to elicit sympathy from the audience, but to me, a guy who takes personal responsibility for all that is good and the plenty that is bad that happens in my life, it falls a bit flat. And she just comes across like a bit of a, well, like I said before, a homage to the original paranoid female gun nut in Terminator 2, Sarah Connor. After Granny comes the modern family, and we are introduced to the Hollywood liberal idea of what families now look like in a post-truth world. This family consists of Laurie Strode's daughter, the amusingly named Karen, her masculine daughter, Allie's son, get it? Son, yes, she's a boy, and the pathetically inconsequential Ray, a man in name only, who exists to be mocked and disregarded by his female-dominated household, who show neither love or respect for him at any time in the movie, which is understandable because as a character he's so thin he's difficult to relate to at all. Why he's in the movie at all is a bit of a mystery to me. Maybe they just needed another body for Michael to hack down later in the movie, or maybe the writers have a problem with a man being the head of a modern family. Call me right-wing if you like, because it's true. But I have a strong suspicion that it's the latter of those two options. Strong dads are problematic, not just to the script, but to end-time liberalism. Strong fathers stand up to the power of the modern leftist corporate state. So we have two choices: cuck dad or get rid of him entirely. But I'm sure you all know that already. And if you don't, now you do. Look out for it in other movies and television shows. It's not a conspiracy, it's a consensus. Anyway, back to the movie. The young female protagonist, a tomboy stroke Mary Sue with an appropriately receding hairline, and I know all about receding hairlines. Where was I? Who I'll now be referring to as Sun, because that's what she is, embodies everything that we've come to expect from modern liberal movies when portraying female characters. Sun is smart, popular, good looking, even though she dresses down in a manner that no teen girl would ever do, and completely out of the league of her boyfriend, a creepy, lank-haired, greasy geek who is supposed to be attractive and popular, but in the real world would be about as successful with the ladies as his fat, sarcastic incel friend who is later impaled on a fence by a less than impressed Michael. What's up with Hollywood and jocks today? Are we supposed to believe that hot girls now date the weird geeks and jocks remain dateless, playing inappropriate computer games all night, wishing that they were as popular with the ladies as their unathletic, pot-smoking classmates? It's silly, unconvincing, and completely out of touch with basic human biology. How I miss the days when the left was all about actual science and not the science, which it uses as a neo-religious cudgel to bludgeon anybody not down with their tyrannically authoritarian, ideologically driven agenda, which is all about control, with them being in charge. Memo to Hollywood. Girls are attracted to alpha males, not pot-smoking creepy losers. Sorry, libs, but you're fighting an impossible battle here to convince anybody that the opposite is true. And that includes you as well. Come on, you know it's nonsense, so stop it. Fast forward plot-wise, and the inevitable has happened. The transfer of Michael to the new facility went about as well as you'd expect it to go. And he's loose, having dispatched the feminised little boy who had dreams of being the next Billy Elliot, and the excess baggage that is the exposition device podcasters. Oh, did I mention that it's Halloween night now? So, just like the transfer that was always going to fail, you pretty much know what happens next, without me detailing murder after murder after murder, so I'll mention a couple of highlights. A lady getting a knife through the throat was memorably brutal, as was the dodgy Dr. Satan getting his head squished, but a couple of the other kills less so, as they were shown off screen, which was weird, as this is an 18 rated movie, so what's the point of hiding the good stuff? Fear of overkill, get it? Maybe, or perhaps they're getting a bit squeamish when it comes to a big white-faced man dispatching annoying beta male characters and hot babysitters who prefer loser stoners over the actual men they be dating in the real world. What do you reckon? What's up with all the off-screen kills? I don't watch a Michael Myers movie to listen to the stabs. I want to see them up close on my big screen, in HD, in all their gory detail. Come on, Halloween, don't wimp out on us now. Some incompetent cops later, and beta male losers also later, we find ourselves at the final act. But there's just one more thing to do before we get to the final showdown. Do you remember Ray, the inconsequential husband and father I mentioned earlier in the review? Well, he's still around near the end, so obviously we need to get rid of him, so we can make it all about the evil man versus the three smart and tough ladies. Hey man, this is what they do now. So, Ray is murdered by Big Mike, and you know what made me laugh about his murder? It wasn't comical, by the way. He was as callously dispatched as everybody else. No, the funny thing about it was just how little his wife or daughter appeared to care about his existence or non-existence at all. I don't think they even mentioned his disappearance. Ray? Who's Ray? You know, your dad? Her husband? Hilarious. This is how little fathers mean to Hollywood today, unless you can demonise them, obviously. Hollywood writers, they are a strange bunch for sure. The final scene then, with an evil man trying to get into a matriarchal safe space, is the perfect unintentional metaphor for the modern managerial class, which is the left today, versus everybody that they hate, which, never forget, is half of the American population and billions of people throughout the rest of the world who certainly do not share their strange ideas about, well, everything, really. Guess who I was rooting for as the tension ramped up to 10? Grandma wrestled with a man who could snap her like a twig. The son, the little girl dressed like a boy, returned home, and her mom had a personality change as a trap was sprung, and poor Michael was left all alone in his metaphorical mother's basement as the world came down upon him. Yes, being a basement dweller myself, I was in a flood of tears as the movie concluded with our hero, Michael Myers, victimised by an elderly Sarah Connor clone, a girl dressed up as a boy, and a mom who didn't particularly care that her strangled husband was gathering flies in the backyard of a weird daughter's burning gun fortress. Michael, seemingly tragically dispatched, Halloween concludes with our three heroines in the back of a truck, driven by an invisible man. I don't want to give a bloke any credit, do we? And the scene of a burning building with poor trapped Michael inside. Cue music. And the hope in every single audience member that our hero Michael Myers will return, which of course he will, in the excellent Halloween Kills, which I will review on this channel as soon as the DVD is released later this month. Okay, time for a quick summary before I bugger off and do whatever basement dwellers are supposed to do with their non-horror movie watching, sticky-fingered spare time. I enjoyed the movie, despite the Hollywood women and the Hollywood men and the Hollywood themes and all the predictable cuckoldry, empowerment and biology/reality adverse nonsense that is mandatory in every single movie that comes out of the satanic hills today. I'll tell you why I enjoyed it, but you probably already know. I enjoyed it because no matter what you do with the supporting cast, Michael Myers will always be Michael Myers. And the more progressively annoying it all gets, the more satisfying it is to see Big Mike, knife in hand, doing what he does better than anybody else, cutting us away through the signalling twits, never saying a word, never giving a damn as the world changes for the worse, staying true to his essence, true to himself, and being the man of action in a world where words no longer mean anything at all. So that's my review of the movie. I enjoyed it very much indeed. There's nothing better than seeing Michael Myers doing his thing in a modern environment, dealing with all the lovely progressive types that litter our movies today. So that's what I made of it. What did you make of it? Please let me know in the comments down below. Tell me as I'm talking utter nonsense. I don't mind. Let's get a bit of a discussion going, shall we? Okay, guys, that's it then for me for the time being. I will return on this channel. Hopefully there's a mask on its way to me. I've ordered the Michael Myers mask from Halloween Kills, and I want to show it to you, and I will do as soon as it arrives. And I've got other bits and pieces arriving as well, so there'll be plenty more coming to the cult of Michael Myers. And of course, when Halloween Kills is released on DVD, like I said in the review, I will do a proper detailed review of that, and I'll report it to you on this channel. But yeah, that's it for me for the time being. Thanks for checking me out. Take care, everybody. Lefties, lighties, people who don't care about any of that kind of nonsense at all. That's kind of me now, really. I'm going more to that side of the fence, which is, solid. Let's just watch more horror movies instead. Yeah. Cheers to everyone. Take care. I'll catch you all later. Bye.